Oof. I hate this story so much.
It says here, Sean Diddy Combs' lawyer said Tuesday that the searches of the rapper's Los Angeles and Miami properties by federal authorities in a sex trafficking investigation were a quote gross use of military level force, and that Combs is innocent and will continue to fight to clear his name. It's the first public statement from the music mogul's team since Monday's raid of his homes by Homeland Security investigation agents. I'm gonna skip the attorney's quote and then we'll come back to it. Because we were saying yesterday we were unsure about what was really going on, and some of those things have come out in this article.
Yeah.
So it says here, the searches were part of an ongoing sex trafficking investigation by federal authorities in New York. Two law enforcement officials told the Associated Press. The officials were not authorized to publicly discuss details of the investigation and spoke to the AP on condition of anonymity. Holmes was not detained and spoke to authorities, and neither he nor any family members were arrested, nor had their travel been restricted, according to Dyer's statement.
Yet.
Now let's get to the statement.
Yet.
All right, now I got to see the bottom of my head because this is weird here. All right, it says yesterday there was a gross overuse of military force as search warrants were executed at Mr. Combs' residences. So like I had to sneeze, but it didn't come out. All right. There is no excuse for the excessive show of force and hostility exhibited. Oh, I thought you was about to sneeze. I saw you go like this. Exhibited by the authorities or the way his children and employees were treated. Mr. Combs was never detained but spoke to and cooperated with authorities. Despite media speculation, neither Mr. Combs nor any of his family members have been arrested, nor has their ability to travel been restricted in any way. The unprecedented ambush, paired with an advanced, coordinated media presence, leads to a premature rush to judgment of Mr. Combs and is nothing more than a witch hunt based on meritless accusations made in civil lawsuits. There has been no finding of criminal or civil liability with any of those allegations. Mr. Combs is innocent and will continue to fight every single day to clear his name. Statement from Aaron Dyer, Diddy's attorney. There you have it, folks.
What do they define as innocent?
I thought this was America.
All this is alleged. This is all alleged. He has not been convicted. Huh? Oh, I'm sorry. What'd you say?
You asked what do they define as innocent? And I said, I thought this was America, people.
You're right. You're right. Absolutely right. But what I'm trying to get at though is very easy. I said this before. Actually, I don't think what I said ever made it to air.
Okay.
What I said before was that powerful people are able to, they have the leverage to bend the rules, and their definition of innocent sometimes means they did that shit. It doesn't always mean what we think as lay people, what we think is innocent. So, sure, his attorney is saying that he's innocent. Okay. Heard you. Just, listen,
That's so funny.
Whatever happens, I will allow this to cycle through the legal system. And whatever happens, happens. But what I do know from just, public cases that have happened, but also from the abundance of crime dramas I have watched, what I know is that when the feds come knocking,
It was Homeland Security.
there were federal agents there.
And I was being silly.
When
The
the
article
feds,
says it was a federal investigation.
yeah, I mean, and Homeland Security is federal. So,
I was being silly.
I mean, I know. Usually, when I
Semantic
say
man.
right, but when and,
Semantic man.
and when I say feds, I usually mean the FBI specifically, and
So
which
we
I
all
think a
know.
lot of us do. So,
Yeah.
um, but when they come knocking at your door, I said this yesterday. When they come knocking at your door, they come knocking at your door for a reason. They don't waste their time and resources. They don't. So you could call it a miscarriage of justice, the way they went in with guns and shit. But also, if you're accused of sex trafficking, I don't know how you expect them to come into your massive home. Okay? I just want to be clear about that. Like, you're being accused of trafficking young girls. How do you and I believe I read something that said that one of the things they were looking for was weapons. If they're looking for weapons, you think they're gonna come in all nice with their little windbreakers and just ain't no thing, no big deal. I know that some of these things don't get carried out nicely and properly, and I know that we people of color are usually on the shit end of the stick when it comes to anything like this, or anything, even a traffic stop can be turned into a dangerous situation for people of color. So don't get me wrong. I know that the justice system, and I know that law enforcement has huge problems when it comes to the black community, and huge problems when it comes to people of color. I am not negating that at all. But there's been a lot of allegations. There's been a lot of allegations, not just over the years, but in the last 6 months. So I say all that to say, I'm gonna let it cycle through the justice system, and however it goes is how it goes. But don't piss on me and tell me it's raining either.
Wow. I will answer your question. What they do, lawyers and people in the legal system, is they prey on civilians' um, lack of knowledge of the legal system,
Mhm.
and they use certain phrases interchangeably
Mhm.
to manipulate the listeners and the viewers. So they say things like, he's innocent, even if that may not be the case,
Mhm.
because what they know is that if they use the word innocent, many people have been trained to look at that as the opposite of guilty.
Right.
But in the legal system, not guilty does not mean the same thing as innocent.
Yep.
And that is how they play things. They flip words and they flip phrases
Yep.
to get in the mind of the public, because they know
Mhm.
that the court of public opinion
Mhm.
plays a big role in many things. As you see, there are already rumors that Diddy sold all of his stake in Revolt to an anonymous source, to an anonymous buyer. This is part of the court of public opinion. All of this is the legal game that is played behind the scenes.
Mhm.
And so it's kind of like when Jonathan Majors did his first interview and people were saying like he looks kind of like his body language was small and he was timid. It was part of the game to make you think and perceive that this slimmer, uh, timid guy could never hit a woman.
And his clothes still wrinkled to this day.
Hey, that's his style. Mind your business. Now, my point is, these are all part of the
Dusty.
games that are played in media manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
And so using the term innocent and not legally liable are semantically used to play games with the public.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could say, hey, in these lawsuits, he was never liable. Yeah, but one of them was settled. So we don't even know because it never came, we never got to see it play out. Two of them are pending, so we don't know. So you could say, hey man, not liable. Hey man, innocent. And people will hear that and regurgitate that because they also know that today, especially, people have a very small focus, right? They do not have, there's a word I'm looking for. It's not focus. Uh, uh, you know what I'm talking about?
Discernment.
No, when people can't pay attention after a short amount of period.
Oh,
Attention span.
attention span.
I got it. Attention span. They know today more than ever, people have a very short attention span. And so
Mm-hmm.
because of that, we're going to play on that. We're going to say things that are quick, that are catchy, words that stick out, keywords that you remember and say, hey, but his lawyer said he's innocent and he's not legally liable. And so they know people will regurgitate that because the public has a short attention span. They're probably not looking up what this means. They're probably not going to do the research. And so they're just going to regurgitate those things. An example of this is Donald Trump. Donald Trump does this a lot, where he'll say things that he and his team know people are going to ingest
Yeah.
and regurgitate out as if it is factual. The
Yeah.
news does it. The newspapers do it. This is a media manipulation trick, and lots of people do it because they know these things. They are
Yeah.
preying on the simple minded, short attention span populace. And this is what that is. So that's my answer to your question. As far as the investigation from the feds, um, we'll see what happens with that. I'm not going to comment. But I think it's interesting that now we know it is a trafficking. I don't want to keep saying the words together because YouTube will flag it, but it is a blank trafficking investigation. And that paints a certain picture that talks to us about what kind of charges they're looking to put on Diddy. I also think it's good that they let us know he was spoken to but was not detained. It's great that we know no one was arrested in this matter. And so this was more of an investigation. But I have to be very honest. I also think this is in part to do with the fact that he is someone so rich and so powerful.
I'm like,
Because,
oh, y'all didn't take him in, cause what? One of these days is gonna come up where you're gonna ask him to quietly turn himself in,
of
like
course,
out of respect for the fact that he's a public figure. Cause
yeah,
that's really what this looks like to me.
of course,
I'm sure he was livid that his children were out there in handcuffs. And I'm
as he
sure
should be.
if he had control over that, that wouldn't have happened either. Totally
Right,
understand that. I wouldn't want my kids sitting outside of my house for some shit that I did, or that I'm being accused of, in handcuffs
right.
outside of their own home. Like that shit is wild to me, and that's not lost on me. I just want to be clear. Like, I totally sympathize with the fact that his children are enveloped in this, whether they're actually involved because they are adults, or whether they are involved or not. Like that, I don't like that. I don't like any shit that has to do with children. I know that they're in their 20s or whatever, and I get it, but still, to even have them wrapped up in this shit, to me, is just, it is wild. And we will talk about Nickelodeon another time.
Yes,
But
yes, we will. Um, yeah, I agree. I lost my original train of thought, but I agree that Yeah, it's not good that those things happen. I understand what the lawyer is saying, and I definitely wouldn't want my kids in handcuffs. Period. On the flip side, I'm glad that it didn't end worse because we know that it could have ended a lot worse, especially if they were trying to protect their dad or do anything that would have gotten in the way of the investigation. So I am glad that everyone is alive, everyone
Mm-hmm.
is safe, and no one is currently behind bars.
Yeah.
Let them do their raid, let them do their investigation, let them do whatever they have to do, and
Mm-hmm.
then we'll move forward however we need to. So I'm glad to hear those things. Uh, we will keep a close eye on this and see what happens. Uh, but if it is going to be legal, we will we will wait and see what happens in the court system, in the legal system, not in the court of public opinion. Because up here we don't really do rumors, we do things that happened. And so if more stuff happens, we could talk about the stuff that happened. Y'all can look forward to that, listeners and viewers. But no, we won't be reporting too much more on the rumor report. People leaving in jets, audio of people having sex, those things.
Oh yeah, I don't care about any of
And
that.
where did it go?
Yeah. I care about the like the shitty parts of the whole thing, and like if this is real, I said if this is real, if these things have happened, like I'm not okay with it. That's just that's just what it is. But
Yeah.
again, it is all alleged at this point. Um so, you know, and it may forever be alleged because sometimes that's
Oh,
just the way, like you said, it doesn't always mean that a thing didn't happen.
right.
Um, sometimes it just means that that's the way the tide turns. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I was smiling before because I was thinking to myself, we considered doing a live episode yesterday, and I wonder how that would have went if
Oh,
we would have done a live episode yesterday
that would
and
have been
had
nuts.
it open to comments. I,
It would
yeah.
have been a bonanza.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't even know. I could go either way on that. I think it would have either been a gift or a curse. I don't know.
It would have been madness. It would have been a 3 hour pod.
Yeah. I think there would have been a lot of opinions
Yeah.
in the chat
And debates.
and debates and debates. Yeah. And there would probably be a lot of debates in our comments about this episode. I take a
Yes, it
very
would.
strong stance when it comes to certain things. I understand that. Totally get it. But, allegedly.
Yeah. And I'm not saying he did or did not do things. I would just wanted to make it clear that innocent and guilty are not the same in the court of public opinion versus the legal system. Because a lot of times people hear, oh, it wasn't this person, man or woman, whatever, this person
Yeah.
wasn't locked up, they weren't found guilty, so they're innocent.
Mhm.
Doesn't mean that. It just means that they were not found guilty. And that doesn't mean they didn't do the thing, they didn't have a role in the thing, they didn't have part to do with it. There's all of these different um, levels of involvement that could be. Right? There's all type of levels of involvement they could have had. It just means that guilty requires a certain amount of evidence, a certain amount of convincing the jury and the judge, depending on what type of case it is. And that's not always found in these matters. And so that's all it means. Not guilty just means we didn't have enough evidence to prove that beyond the shadow of a doubt, this
This-
person was guilty.
Right, exactly.
That's all.
Exactly. And I think people forget that sometimes.
Yeah, and a
And
lot of people don't really know that because they don't know the legal system. That's something that has been programmed. Innocent, guilty.
yeah,
Innocent, guilty. But there's not guilty. It's not the same.
I mean, I read my law. I was going to see, that's why I'm not a lawyer. I read my LSAT book.
You need a teleprompter.
Definitely need a teleprompter. Okay. I read my LSAT book, but that was a very long time ago
Got it.
and never took the test.
Got it.
Because advertising and podcasting and, more fun.
Right. And girls just want to have fun.
Exactly.